Hey, what's up everybody? Brett and Briggs here, bringing you guys another video on a pellet stove installation part.
Well, as always, son, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to be replacing this thermocouple on this Heatilator PS35 pellet stove. Yes, it does look a little rough. Came from a gentleman's garage and he just wanted it fixed so he could put heat in his shop for the winter time to work on his projects. Follow along with us. Let's go.
All right.
Okay, friends, these are the tools and parts needed to fix the thermocouple in this PS35 Heatilator pellet stove. You'll need a ratchet, a 10 millimeter and 11 millimeter socket. This is the thermocouple. This is the high heat protective cover. That's all you need. Okay, friends, safety first. Before working on your pellet stove, unplug the stove from the wall. Unplug, 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 and once you do, you're ready to start working on it and repair it. Let's go!
So first off, we're going to take off these two panels over here on the right side of the pellet stove.
Which panels again, son?
So the right side, there's going to be this top main panel, and then you have this lower panel. So if you come over here, we can show you the bolts.
I'm going to come over here. Bear with us. Here we go. He's taking off the first bolt.
Got one up here. Just loosen up. Down here. And these bolts aren't very tight on here for this stove. So once you get it loosened off, you can just use your hands if you need be.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to go around. So you got those done. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
So once those bolts are taken off, you're going to have these lips here. And they come off.
Where are the lips?
So you're going to have the opening on the bottom and the top here. Now with the number of stoves, when these things are taken on and off, these things can tend to get bent. So not all the time will they come out easily, but you kind of see how they can hook, loop. You lift up, you take them out. You're going to put this to this side.
Well done.
Now, we got one more here. This bottom one. This bolt's loose enough I can just use it with my hands. This bottom panel only has one bolt.
It's the same bolt as the two that he just took off, and that bottom panel comes out.
And so, once you have it out, you can slide this. And this just has two that don't really hook like the top one, but they just slide out as so. And right here, you have full access to your wiring. Now we're going to go into the main burn chamber area and look at the thermocouple. So Dad, if you can come over here, you can look right inside. So the protective ceramic coating that covers the thermocouple is broken off. And then really, if you look at the end of the thermocouple, it has gone through extensive use. And as you can see, it's going to need a replacement. You can see all the wear and tear that happens. So this ceramic piece is very vital to extend the life of this part right here. So first, we're going to take off this bracket here. So we're going to switch to the right socket. Take it off as so.
Okay, what are you taking off? You move your hands just for a second so they can see it.
So what I'm loosening is this bracket here. So this bracket is held down by just one bolt, and it holds down the thermocouple ceramic.
11 millimeter.
So
right? 11 millimeter socket?
Yep.
Okay.
And once it's taken off, you can see a little bit of the age and the wear and tear of that thermocouple coming off. And you see this cap is pretty well stuck on this bracket, but there's no problem. We'll get that removed off, and this will be your first step. Now your wire is exposed for later. So we're gonna do a walkthrough of where all this wiring goes throughout this stove so you know what to expect. So right here, you'll have your thermocouple right at the end. It's gonna start on this end, and you're gonna have a hole right on the bottom of the burn chamber area. Now when I take my flashlight, we're gonna follow it through. I'm gonna take the ash pan.
Good golly, look at that ashtray, rusted to a hoop. But you know, you could sand that down and you can just put high heat paint on it and make it look beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So right under here, this will be a little harder to see, but up top here is the hole from the burn chamber, and the wire is going to be coming down. It's going to go through this bracket right here, and it's going to go out the side, or the behind hole right here for the ash pan area. Now, this is real critical to keep a mental note or some notes down of where this wiring is going. You want to mimic exactly how you found it, as long as it's with the manufacturing specs, that is, because if you start putting it in other ways, this whole apparatus right here, this moves back and forth. So if you don't put this wiring where it's supposed to, that wiring can start getting caught in here, and you're gonna have, well, more problems down the line. So, bringing it over here, you can see where that back hole was, where finally the thermocouple will end. I'm gonna put my flashlight right here, and it's gonna split into 2 wires, your red and yellow, which hooks right into the main wire apparatus.
Let's pull them apart. Sometimes they're a little tough. Just take your time.
So yeah, my dad's right. They can be a little tough, and this is where you want to add a little bit of patience. So when you take it apart, that one came out actually quite nicely. You can see the connections right there. Do this one as well. Connections too. Now with wiring, you want to definitely take your time, because if you apply the forces in the wrong areas, you can end up taking these parts of the wiring off. You can have exposed wiring, and that is definitely something you do not want with all this stuff in here.
Okay, at this point, we're gonna start moving forward, and it's a ginger process in moving the thermocouple wire assembly. It's a very rigid, very stiff wire system, and so you have to be careful in how you bend it. You'll have to bend it a couple of times to put it into place. So we'll just take a little break and we'll start doing that now.
All right, now it's the part where we're gonna remove the old thermocouple. So right here, we have the first end, and the bottom, here is your first hole. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna use both hands here with the aid of a lot of light. I'm gonna place my light right here. As I have one of my hands here, I'm gonna take my other hand, and we're almost gonna do kind of a team effort push and pull technique.
So you're pulling it down.
Yep, and it's a little dexterity, but once you have it,
there
you go. Now, over here, we're gonna be moving things around again. This wire is very flexible, but it is very stiff at the same time. So now we gotta get through this top bracket here.
What bracket?
So this bracket right here, we're gonna get through this second hole. And as I'm pushing this side with my left hand, and I'm pulling with my right hand on the other side, we are gonna slowly maneuver.
So you're pulling that out the back of the firewall.
Yes, I'm using my right hand to pull on the other side.
Okay, you keep pulling it, and I'm gonna show them over here where it's coming out.
So as you guys can see, here's my right hand. As I'm pulling, maneuvering, slowly making its way. And there we go. There's the old wire.
Okay, friends, this is the old one. Now you can see at the end here, there are 2 wires here. They're usually intertwined, and at the end of it, there is a magnetic ball. We're gonna set this one aside easily. Drop it. Here's the new one. These are intertwined wires right here. There's your magnetic ball. This is brand new, and you can see it's very rigid. So when we put it together, we're gonna carefully put it through the back firewall, up through where the ash pan is, up through the little hole by the fire pot, and then we're gonna have to bend it again. Don't bend it too many times. Take your time, have some fun, and have a perfect install.
All right, part 2 of fun is we're going to take this end of the new thermocouple and we're going to insert it through this back hole right here. And if you come over here, Dad.
All right, I'm gonna go slow. I don't want to trip.
We're going to show them the process here. So see how the new thermocouple comes in?
Where's your hand? Your other hand, or you can show the viewers.
So right here, we want to get this back up through here. We're essentially working backwards. Now, again, how I like to say, this is where some more patience comes in handy. And sometimes you're gonna have to do a little dexterity process.
It's a very rigid cable, so he's slowly bending it through that bracket up there so the cable stays away from the burn pot trap mechanism.
Now you guys see how I did that. So unlike a regular wire, like my dad said, this wire loves to keep its rigidity. So in doing so on that, you can't just easily funnel it through. You're gonna have to get a little tactile with your hands. This can be a little frustrating.
So right now, as you straighten that up, I've got a pretty good view here.
Yeah.
So before he makes the bend, he's gonna make like a 90-degree bend. And I'm gonna go upward here into the burn area. And he's going to bring that cable right up through this hole here. So he's making a bend in the cable down there. He's bending it slowly. And he's going to bring it up through the hole where the burn pot is. I'll just kind of hold it here until he bends it. Here it comes.
Just right there.
I got your hand there in the way, folks, but that's all right. It's tight space.
And there we go. So now that we funneled through the new thermocouple, we're gonna do some safety check measures. So right here, this is a very critical part, is the end bend feature. So we wanna do the sharp bend of the thermocouple. And as you're doing this installation, you wanna minimize as many bends as you can to reduce the amount of wear on this wire. We then wanna make sure that the cap can safely be put on there.
What's that cap for?
And it fits.
What's the cap for?
So this cap, it's a ceramic cap that protects the thermocouple. So with this model stove, you can run it without the cap. It's just gonna deteriorate this wire quicker. And so you're gonna have to replace it sooner. So when you have this cap on, it extends the life of that wire. And so you don't have to do this installation more than you have to. And so when we're doing this check here, we wanna make sure this bend is at a good length, so it's not too long or too short. We wanna make sure the sensor's over the burn pot itself, and we wanna make sure the cap fits on just right, where it's gonna fit with this bracket here. So this part, this one's okay. We're gonna do another safety check down here. I'm gonna bring my wire, if you wanna bring that phone over here. So looking all up in here, we wanna make sure that the thermocouple wire is where it needs to be through that bracket and out of the way of all these moving parts in here. And the moving parts I'm referring to is when this trap door is open, we wanna make sure that that wire is out of the way and is not being hit by these moving parts. If it is gonna get hit by those moving parts, it's more wear and tear, something might get caught, and you may actually start, the wire may start abrasing, and you don't want the exposed wires there. And finally over here,
Almost went down. Good gosh, I almost went down.
Wash that ash pan.
Woo!
So now we're gonna make the final connections. We're gonna do female to male, as so. You wanna be careful you don't bend it. And there we go, connections are made. And last but not least, you're gonna replace your bracket. So over here, you're gonna line up the hole for the bolts, and then you're gonna line up the bracket with the thermocouple. You're gonna hand thread it.
We're gonna tighten it down with 11 millimeter.
Yes, sir. So here we're gonna do this final tighten.
Finesse.
Yes, you want to do finesse on here. That thermocouple is made of ceramic, and if you tighten it down and if it's not at the right spots, you could run the risk of cracking it, which then makes you have to get another one. It's not an expensive part per se, but it's just more time that you don't want to invest if you don't have to.
That's real nice.
So right there, You'll know when you got nice and tight, when this thing doesn't easily knock off, and now you're set.
Now, son, go ahead and grab the camera. Now you have me here. Now if you could kind of go in here a little bit here. So what this does, the thermocouple does, is the flame comes up. This is a protective cap, as Briggs said, that protects that thermocouple wire. But it detects heat. And when it detects heat, then it tells the auger motor to keep dropping pellets. That's what it does. And there you go. And you know, the last thing, obviously, if we follow over here, is it won't take up all the time, but putting on panel 1, panel 2, using a 10mm socket, gingerly just tighten down the bolts. Don't over tighten them because you'll strip them. Have some fun with it. And when you're done with that, put it all together, then you'll be able to plug in your stove, fire it up, and your pellets are going to start coming out as they should, and you're good to go, and we're done!
There you have it. You guys have a new thermocouple in your stove.
This PS35 Heatilator is pretty simplistic. Briggs, you did a great job.
Oh, thank you.
You know, the main thing is the thermocouple wire is very, very rigid, so take your time when you bring it in to the back firewall or where the ash pan is, and get that bent up into the burn chamber area, and get that 90-degree turn carefully, and then bolt it down. Hopefully this has been very helpful to you. Comments mean a lot to us. We'll keep going and going and going on as many stoves as we possibly can to help you all out. And as always, please like, share, subscribe, and we will see you on the next video.
See you guys. Thank you.